While John McCain and Barack Obama fight over the economic crisis, their running mates may be staking out their own battleground. On Monday, Joe Biden and Sarah Palin will try to bolster their foreign policy credentials. Palin by visiting world leaders at the United Nations, and Biden by delivering a major foreign policy address. In terms of experience and qualifications to be president, a new poll shows Biden with the edge. It found 65% of voters said he was qualified, but just 33% said the same about Sarah Palin. Ron Lester is a Democratic pollster, and Tyler Harber is a Republican pollster, and it's good to see you both today.
Great to be here.
So, Tyler, 6 weeks, is that enough time for Palin to shore up some of those numbers on is she ready and prepared to be president?
Absolutely. You know, there's a couple trends here. We know historically that polling, that the presidential race gets a lot tighter between here and Election Day. Every modern race that has been polled, this occurs. So what we're seeing perhaps fundamental changes, though, and as this race comes closer together, we're seeing fundamental changes on the Republican side that certainly did not happen on the Democratic side. You're seeing reports of more volunteers in Republican races. You're seeing reports of higher fundraising numbers. You're seeing for the first time all year that voters are saying that they're going to be more likely to vote for a Republican candidate over a Democratic candidate in some of the battleground states in down ballot races. Plus, now voters think that McCain is actually just as able to deal with the economy as Obama is.
Ron, do you look at those numbers and agree with them?
Well, I agree with Tyler that the race will tighten up. Clearly it will. And it's a fact that the Republicans got a good bounce out of Palin. The Palin pick was a brilliant pick on the surface. She brought momentum to the team. The question is she all show and no go? Does she have the substance to deal with the serious issues that we're going to face? The economy's in the meltdown. We have a war going on. Is she up to the task of dealing with these issues? And she has to prove that.
Tyler, it's interesting because Palin, especially with this pivotal group of white women voters, we saw a real bounce after Palin was named as John McCain's running mate. Now almost a 19-point lead has entirely disappeared. Why is that?
Well, like I said before, historically this race is going to get a lot tighter. But these fundamental changes that have happened to the base and the fact that you have Biden out there saying that it's patriotic to pay more in taxes and that you have the economy.
He says patriotic for rich people, so I don't know what that does for the rich people vote, but.
That's true. But, I mean, the bottom line here is that's going to be misinterpreted by the electorate at large because this is the economy race. The economy is going to be the forefront of this race from now until Election Day. And if you have Joe Biden out there saying that it's patriotic for rich people to pay more taxes, just talking about paying more taxes in an economy like this opens him up for a lot of problems. And you didn't see the same bounce in the base from the Biden choice or the Biden pick that you did from Palin.
Guys, let's look at the favorability ratings here, because when we look at Biden's favorability rating, what people think of him, 38% of those had favorable ratings toward him. 45% said they were undecided. By way of comparison, Palin got a 40% favorable rating. That's pretty comparable to what Biden got, but just 30% said they were undecided about her. She did have higher unfavorability ratings, though. Ron, how do you interpret those results?
Well, you have to remember, both of these candidates are relatively new to the American public. Joe Biden has been around for 40 years, but he really isn't known all that well. Sarah Palin is totally new. So there's a huge gap here in terms of voters not really knowing these candidates well. By Election Day, they'll know them very well. But I think the thing to keep your eye on here is that this economy is turning more and more on the election. The fear is driving Wall Street, and I think economic fear, economic concerns are going to drive the election.
And both
in the New York Times, in the New York Times poll, the Obama-McCain team had a major advantage in terms of who would be best for the economy, and that's going to come into play here in the election.
And both campaigns know that in order to win this election, they're going to have to be seen as the more trustworthy candidate on fixing the economic mess our nation faces. Ron, Tyler, thank you both. I appreciate it.